Okay, our fifth question was, what were some positive experiences that came from infusing voice and choice, and what was challenging about implementing these strategies with students?
There was nothing challenging.
Nothing
so
at all.
Just focus on the Rosie.
Cut, the end.
Okay.
Just kidding. That's not real life. So to start with the positives, I was really impressed with students because I know we see them as children and we don't always get to have adult conversations with them, but this really helped me to connect with students very, I'm trying to think of the word now, I'm stuck because it's the end of the day. Intentionally. It was just intentional connections that were part of your day, and I had students that I learned so much about them from this process, and they opened up quite a bit because they realized they were being listened to and their ideas were not shut down. You know, Leslie mentioned that you have to validate their ideas and you have to figure out ways to make sure that their voices are not just heard, but they're honored, and they're honored consistently. And so we had students that wanted to write about some pretty dicey subjects, but they were they're real life. And so we had to have those adult conversations where, you know, would you be comfortable showing this to the principal? Have you gone about this in a professional way? You know, what are the decisions you've made? And it was, instead of just no because I said so, they were really processing through what makes a good choice and what makes an appropriate topic for a school assignment. And it was so much nicer for them because they got to see both sides. And I had people that, like I said, never came to school, or they would make up excuses and it became this game. But this wasn't a game. There's no game, there's no rules. It's are you learning, and how are you learning, and are you doing well, and how can I help you? And it took out some of the angst that I think students have when they try to please you, or they try to please the school, or they try to please their parents. So it was not just about the grade. It was about, am I learning, and what am I learning? Am I learning it quickly? Am I learning it slowly? Am I doing what's right for me? So I found much more metacognitive skills that did not have to be directly taught. We were just providing opportunities for students to have those conversations and experiences. So it became very authentic. And these were huge authentic pieces. They had transfer that they had to do. It was not just regurgitation and memorize and, okay, I guess I'm done. You know, they really had to think about all the things that they've learned, and it was an authentic task and something that meant a lot to them. So we had more investment, more focus, especially in the first few stages. Found that students were very much on task. So I think in the beginning, the motivation had increased. We know that students, when they were given freedom and trust, some students ran with it, and that's all they needed, was they needed to know that we trusted them and we valued their voice. So they were able to go in a workshop group by themselves and say, okay, get your stuff done today, we'll check in with you. And that trust as a young adult, I think, is very valuable. They don't often get that piece. So giving that trust, even though it could be very chaotic at first, or sometimes angst for us, it was nice because the students felt trusted and they rose to some of those expectations.
Phil, especially if you're still in the building, please come to the office.
There is
Every
authentic.
day. Yep, authentic.
That's authentic.
Yep. So I know that students they felt valued. They felt appreciated, and they felt they could connect, which was very nice, the feedback we got. My list of challenges is probably a little longer. I don't need to go through all of them, but I know this is not something we can always control, but technology for extended periods of time was an issue. We had to plan far in advance and scrape and beg and borrow and steal to just make sure we had these things available for students for bare minimum. You know, for bare minimum of publishing and workshopping and sharing on Google Docs and getting feedback from teachers. And we say it's personalized learning, it's voice and choice, but when we didn't have the computers, they didn't have access to that. So trying to figure out how to manage technology for students was difficult because we had a very limited time frame. I also found out that students work much more slowly than we had hoped. So we often found ourselves having to prioritize after we'd already prioritized. So now that we've cut to the bare minimum that they need to know, we have to cut even further. And so I found that the work pace was slow. So we had to figure out the time we have left and the resources we have left, what are we gonna have to let go of? And that was pretty painful. I also found out that students are not using their resources. It's kind of bizarre, but when that was happening, students would get further behind in academics and social emotional skills we're hoping they learn through this experience. So I had students that, because we didn't force them, or they were not in lockstep, or they had these pieces, they didn't get much out of it. And again, that may be debatable, but if I felt like they were behind, I felt like I had done them a disservice because they were not getting the practice that we could have done had we just said, do A, do B, do C, and I'll check it off. So that was tough. And also, the final thing, the big issue was some students are not ready for choice. Some students are not yet mature enough to really design their own learning plan. So trying to figure out what level of voice and choice is appropriate for every student, and having that level of voice and choice all at the same time, so things appear fair, can be tough. Because some students are doing their whole activity all on their own, and it looks very fun and exciting, whereas some students can't handle that. So it did not seem like everybody was getting the choice that they needed. It still seemed a little unfair, or seemed a little fabricated by the teacher. Without forced shared experiences, students were functioning on lots of misconceptions. So when they were not using their resources, or they were not really reading resources closely, they were getting things incorrect and thought that they were fine because they were not using the rubrics that were provided or the models that they had created or we went over as a class. So we found out that with voice and choice in a long unit, students were falling further behind because we did not have a way to really monitor and give them immediate feedback. There's tons of challenges, but I think those were the major ones that deserve to be brought up today.